Hi, welcome to this short, authentic learning video on the topic of what is autism. So, what do we know about autism? Well, 2.9 to 3% of 10 to 17-year-olds in the UK are diagnosed as autistic without an intellectual disability. And of course, 10 to 17-year-olds do grow up into adults. This means that the statistic of 1% of people in the UK being autistic is a real underestimation. Autism can't be cured, and early access to meaningful support is vital. What we mean by meaningful support isn't teaching young children non autistic social skills, but helping them to feel confident about being autistic and asking for what they need. Autism isn't a mental health condition. However, 7 out of 10 autistic people have mental health difficulties, with anxiety in particular and depression being really common. This is often because autistic people aren't accepted, aren't affirmed, and are really struggling. Autistic people may have any gender, and you'll see later on when we talk about intersectionality that there's a much higher number of autistic people who have non-traditional gender identities, such as non-binary and trans. Autistic people are not necessarily introverts. Some autistic people choose to withdraw and stop trying to join in with activities because they're not accessible. Some people really worry about how they're going to be perceived by others and so prefer to spend time alone. This is a problem in the autistic community. Having friends and feeling included is important for everybody. Not everyone is on the autistic spectrum somewhere. This used to be a phrase that was said quite often by others to show that they relate, and sometimes even by professionals. Many autistic people don't like these kind of phrases because it invalidates their struggles. You can be highly methodical and not autistic. However, for an autistic person who's highly methodical, because that's a key feature of being autistic, they find that they can't turn down or turn off the ability to be highly methodical. And it might be really good to be highly methodical for very specialized things that you do, for example, in your job, but not in those unstructured and non-logical and methodical situations, such as social situations. And this is often where autistic people start to struggle. Some autistic people are high masking or pretending not to be autistic. Not all autistic people can mask their autisticness, but for those that do, they can find it really exhausting. It's often a skill that's learned so that autistic people can feel that they can fit in better, or maybe even avoid bullying or physical harm from others. Some autistic people don't speak verbally to communicate. The ability to mask or speak isn't in any way connected with intelligence and high skills in lots of other areas. Autism isn't caused by vaccines. There are many studies that have shown this. It's a neurodevelopmental condition and you're born with it. Many autistic people feel anxiety and empathy differently than non-autistic people. It's often felt more strongly. Organisations and services need to be adapted for autistic people so that they are accessible and also autism affirming. Autistic people have differences in these main areas: communication, interaction, sensory, and predictability. Let's explore next what each of these areas mean. Autistic people do communicate differently than non-autistic people. They have different expressions and body language. They might have no speech at all, a little speech, or a lot of speech. Most autistic people really appreciate some extra time to understand others' communication. And many autistic people are very literal in their use of language and very direct. Autistic people have very different expectations for interaction, which is how we behave between each other and towards other people. So, autistic people have different behaviour, including not tending to use small talk, touching, and also for social rules like saying hi when you see somebody. If you're an autistic person who masks, then pretending not to be autistic can be very tiring. Autistic people can find it more difficult to predict what is going to happen next and will often worry if they're not sure what will happen and when. Many autistic people need extra time, extra detail from you, and visual information to predict what will happen next and feel comfortable. Many autistic people have sensory differences as well. This means that they might be under or oversensitive to sensory inputs. These can be from lights, smells, balance can be affected, from sound, taste, and touch, among others. You can be autism affirming and help by making these small adjustments for communication. Speak and write in a direct way. Give extra time for the person to process what's being said. Use visuals and writing to help the person understand. Don't rely on body language, either yours or theirs. To be autism affirming with interaction, change your expectations for behaviour and respect autistic culture. For predictability, structure activities and support again with visuals such as photographs or video clips and extra information to help the person. Plan and give good notice of change. Give the person extra time to prepare for change. Autism affirming sensory support does include helping the person to avoid situations where they're likely to feel overwhelmed, providing sensory breaks and fit for purpose quiet rooms is really important, as well as earphones or loops, stim toys, hats, and coloured glasses, soft clothes, and extra personal space, and sensory suitable food for the person. Lastly, I want to show you a really good strategy to help support autistic people who are feeling really overwhelmed. It's always helpful to ask someone, how do I know if you can't tell me when you're struggling and need support? What will I see or hear? And when I notice that, what's the best way to support you? Thank you for watching this short learning video today. And don't forget to check out our other resources and videos.